Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and welcome to a very special conversation about Spider Athletics. Today, we're talking about the Spider Athletic Fund, the new Spider Athletic Fund, and where the Spider Club went. And we have two very special guests to do that with us today. To my immediate left, Jasmonn Coleman, a name and face familiar to all of you, our Associate Athletic Director for Development. And then we'll be introducing you to Chris Schaefer, our Assistant Athletic Director for Giving, who has just joined our team here at Richmond. Appreciate both of you guys taking some time to talk with our Spider fans about these changes. Jazz, let me start with you. Why the change? And I have been here long enough and old enough to remember when it was Spider Athletic Fund, then it became Spider Club, and now what's gone around has come around. How come?
Yeah, I mean, this is, sort of the return to our roots, so to speak. It's been a couple of years as far as this process is concerned. It really dated back to right before John started leading the athletic department, where some tax law changes happened, and we really needed to reevaluate how we handled fundraising here at Richmond. And so that was the beginning. And I think this is where we sort of put a stamp on it with our transition from what was traditionally a more benefit-based, season ticket holder-based model of fundraising to now what is sort of back to our roots, as I've said, a return to a true philanthropic model, really getting back to our core, which is to really focus on funding the student-athlete experience, really providing for the incredible student-athletes and coaches and programs that we have here. So kind of moving away from sort of the club feel, the benefit feel, and really moving into a true philanthropic approach to fundraising. And so we really wanted to return to a familiar name. Our loyal fans already are familiar with this sort of name. But for the younger folks that are just joining and becoming new donors, I think this rebirth of the Spider Athletic Fund really means a lot and really is sort of matches the philosophy that we'll have with fundraising moving forward.
All right, so new name there, Spider Athletic Fund. We also have a new name with us in Chris Schaefer, who has joined the team.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about Chris, and then we'll give him an opportunity to find out why he wanted to become a Richmond Spider.
Well, I mean, new, I'm sure a lot of folks haven't seen his face because he started really literally a week before sort of we all shut down in response to the coronavirus. So we hired Chris. I think his first day was March 2nd. And the very next week, we all packed our bags, headed to New York for the Atlantic 10 men's basketball tournament. And then we're immediately sent home. And I don't think we ever came back in the office from that point. So a very unique start for Chris. But Chris brings a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experience. He worked at Old Dominion University, worked at NC State, and his role is really to come in, and he really is going to be the engine behind this sort of rebirth of the Spider Athletic Fund, and really creating a connection to our donors, both near and far, to really build out a program and communicate and bring them closer into athletics so they can really get a good sense for what our student athletes are doing and the experience that they're having and sort of the impact of what their donations are. But we were really excited to find Chris, and he's already made a tremendous impact. He'll talk a little bit more about that, but he's brought already tremendous experience, energy, and excitement to the program, and we're really pleased to have him.
Chris, welcome. This might be the first time we've actually seen you in the Robins Center and on Dick Tarrant Court inside the gym part of the Robins Center. What attracted you to coming to the University of Richmond?
Well, thank you, Jazz, for all the kind words. But I think what really attracted me to Richmond was there's clearly a passion here for the student-athlete experience, and that is a passion that's shared by myself too. And that's a credit. The experience that we're able to provide student-athletes here is a credit to the donors that are already established here and have been established here. So I think that was the biggest thing that attracted me to the university. I was able to catch the last basketball game in the Robins Center this year and met a few people up in the Spider Club Terrace, but it was clear that the passion for basketball here especially is very high.
So that said, what are your expectations now for the rebranding of Spider Athletic Fund?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that will come from this rebrand is communication. I think our donors are going to see an insight into the day-to-day activities of the student athlete, really what their donations go to support, whether it's academics or mental health or leadership or practices and equipment, whatever that may be. We want to tell that story and make sure everybody has a real insight into all the work that student athletes put day to day.
Let me cut to the chase on an area that I know the Spider fans that are watching this are most interested in, and Jasmonn alluded to it a little bit, but how this change impacts season tickets and giving and benefits and that sort of thing. Jasmonn alluded to the tax changes in the law, and that certainly was a springboard to this, wasn't it?
Yeah, the tax changes brought a lot of change to college athletics in general, and everybody had to kind of figure it out and navigate it. And at Richmond, we decided to move everything to the ticket office. So nothing's from the last couple of years. Nothing's going to change for the donor. They'll still, to get their hospitality or their parking or their season tickets, will go through the ticket office, and everything will be handled by them.
I know when you and I and Jasmonn talked a little bit about this, you used the phrase bucket, and there are 4 different buckets that make up the Spider Athletic Fund, and maybe I'll ask each of you to take a couple of these buckets. But Chris, I'll have you start because you started to talk a little bit about it. Number 1 on the list will be competitive excellence, won't it?
Yeah, the competitive excellence is the most important bucket for us. That's going to be our unrestricted pool of money. So that allows us the most flexibility to deal with, and a great example is the coronavirus, COVID-19. As that came up, that competitive excellence fund allows us to have flexibility with unforeseen expenses that pop up throughout the year, whether that be an extra piece of equipment or additional travel, whatever that is, that allows us to be flexible with all of our programs across the whole department.
Bucket 2, Jasmonn, sport specific, how this impacts each of our individual sports.
Yeah, and this is it's actually a growing bucket for us over the last few years. Kind of to Chris's point, we've really focused on that unrestricted bucket for many years within athletic fundraising here at Richmond. But when you think about the sport-specific areas, that's where, the former student athlete, myself having played football here at Richmond, I've got so much passion for our football program, having been a member of that team. I want to give back to that football program. The sport-specific bucket is designed for former student athletes to give back and support their program. But it also attracts, obviously, not only the fans, but also parents. Our parents are so involved in their students' experience here at Richmond that now they have this vehicle where they can support the program, support the coaches, support the activities associated with funding that student athlete experience related to that program. And that's what that's designed to do. And, another sort of byproduct of that is Giving Day. Giving Day is one area where there's sort of this culmination of all of our fans coming together to support the area that sort of means the most to them. And that's where those sport-specific funds seem to get and raise the most money is during those types of moments, such as Giving Day for us, which this year we had a historic turnout for Giving Day here in May.
Tremendous. Congratulations on that, and we appreciate all the support we got from everybody out in the Spider community. Chris, bucket 3 is one that I think has come to the forefront maybe in recent years, and certainly since John Hart has been here, I know it's very important to him, and that's leadership and student athlete development.
Yeah, I think this was one of the most exciting pieces of Richmond athletics that attracted me here, because you have programs that are set up to help student athletes develop outside of athletics. The leadership initiative here is a one-of-a-kind program, I think, that really develops and builds the next generation of leaders, not just for our community, but for the whole country. And I think that is a very attractive for any prospective student athlete coming in. And then you have, the strength and conditioning and sports medicine that, helps our student athletes be healthier, and then the mental health side of it with Dr. Turk that I think is a pretty unique aspect of an athletic department nowadays.
And the final bucket, Jasmonn, this might be the catch-all bucket, I think. Special projects.
It is.
To a special guy to explain.
I like that. It is the catch-all. We're looking to catch big fish in this bucket, just so you know. This is the capital project. This is arenas like where we're sitting right now. You think about the renovations to the Robins Center, both in the arena. I mean, we were both here. $17 million invested in this facility to recreate the Robins Center. You think about, we recently concluded an Elevate campaign, which really focused in this building specifically on the lower level and the Blanford Everett Sports Performance Center. So, it is those types of initiatives that this bucket sort of speaks to when you're really trying to do really big, new sort of, those audacious projects. And we need really significant funding for those projects and those initiatives. Quilly Athletic Center, which will be coming online here in October, is another project that is just the benefit of some of the most generous spiders that we have associated with the university, who just really mean a lot to athletics, who have a great passion for athletics, and really have resources to be able to invest in our future. And so, projects like capital projects. Also, when you look at initiatives like endowments, I mean, those are ways where you're funding programs in perpetuity that will always be a part of Spider Athletics. So, those are things that, as those projects come available, we'll be, communicating those out to our fan base, to our donors. Those are led by John Hart. Those are the things that, when you talk about his vision, those are the projects that come out of his vision for the future of athletics. And so we're excited about those, but I'll be really focused on those areas while Chris is really focused on the Competitive Excellence Fund and our sports-specific funds.
Pretty good, complete rundown of the new Spider Athletic Fund, but let me finish by giving you one opportunity to give a shout out to a couple of the familiar faces and names who are also a part of the Spider Athletic Fund team and do so much hard work.
Absolutely, and we've been really fortunate to add Chris to the team, but we had a couple of members who have just really been essential to our success. Allie Ware, who's the Associate Director of our Parent and Major Giving Program, and then Lindsay Biggs, who's the Spider Athletic Fund sort of operations person. So the two of them, you talk about the real energy behind the program. They do all the real work. Let's just get down to it. Me and Chris are fortunate enough to jump on the camera and talk about it. But as you can see, while we're talking, they're back in the office doing the real work. But they really, their creativity, their passion for Richmond athletics. Allie, being a former women's lacrosse student athlete here. Lindsay went to Virginia Tech. No, we got no hard feelings there. But was a student athlete herself and an extremely successful student athlete. So they bring so much to the table, and they do a tremendous job of not only servicing our donors and really doing a great job of really helping to fund our student athletes and the experience that they have here at Richmond.
Great team, great cause. Thanks, guys, and I know that all our Spider fans look forward to seeing all of you, not on video next time, but in person right back here in the Robins Center.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay in touch with Spider Athletics.